All right, so what we're going to talk about now is positioning your swarm trap. Ideally, you want to get it as high as you can, up to 15 feet, but I tell people not to kill themselves putting up swarm traps. I'm trying not to kill myself today, as you can see. I just climbed up into this tree and I've got my swarm trap. I'm probably about, I'd say the swarm trap's about 8 feet up off the ground where the entrance is, and I've trapped plenty of bees at this height. So a couple critical things. One is to make sure that your swarm trap is facing south, that the entrance is facing south. Another thing you want to look at is make sure that the top of the swarm trap is pretty level. The bees are going to build comb with gravity vertically, and so if you have your trap out of level, then the combs could end up being a mess. Basically, when you go to pull out combs, they could be almost sideways or diagonal, and you don't want that. Okay, so one of the things that I tell people to do or advise is that you trap bees where you want to keep bees. So I have this trap in this tree because I plan to keep bees near this tree. I want to stay within 15 foot of where I trap the bees with my forever home. I can't move more than 15 feet because the bees can't overcome that distance without reorientating and resetting. If I do that, then I'm going to have to take the trapped bees out of the area at least 3 miles for a period of time and then bring them back and put them where I want them to reset. But if I have my forever home, and right now I have it right here to my left, if I have my forever home within 12 to 15 feet of my swarm trap, then I can just transfer the bees straight from the swarm trap to their forever home, and boom, they're good to go. Okay, another tip I wanted to give y'all is that if you find a tree that you've trapped bees in before, you want to use that tree again. Sometimes there's just trees and places, locations where bees are attracted to those locations for some reason. So you want to continue to use that same spot, specific location. If you have success, use it again and again and again. So I've trapped bees in this tree before. That's another reason why I picked this tree. And then also, if you know where bees are living, if you know that they're living in the woods, right across from your property, or you have a friend that lives even miles away from you, but they have a bee tree near their property, or even if they have a neighbor that's keeping bees, I have no problem with it, and they should have no problem with it, that you put a swarm trap somewhere in the area where there's already bees, because then the likelihood of them swarming is really good, and you trapping a swarm from those bees is really good every spring. So pick a place where you know that there's bees. And if you don't have a tree to put a swarm trap in, there's many other things you can do. I tell people all the time, if I had a condo in downtown Nashville on the 3rd floor, I would absolutely trap bees on my 3rd floor balcony and put them in their forever home on that balcony. Nobody would ever know, I promise. But in your backyard, if you've got an old barn that you could hang a swarm trap on facing south, if you've got a corner of a fence, 2 fences come together and you could put a swarm trap up and face it south, you could even, if you had nothing on your property to put a swarm trap on, you could even put up an A-frame ladder and mount the trap to the top of that ladder. So there's lots of things you can do, and again, your swarm trap does not have to be 15 feet up off the ground. I have trapped bees at 3 feet off the ground with a swarm trap literally sitting on a table, and I accidentally trapped those bees. I wasn't meaning to, but the trap was loaded and the bees came to that trap. So don't overthink the height. It's not a deal breaker. Another option for trapping bees is baiting an actual hive. It's very common for bees to, if a beekeeper has a die out in a hive, basically they clean out the hive is empty, they repack it full of frames. The next spring, it's very common to have bees show up, have the scout bees check out that hive, and then move right in. So those are real easy bees to trap and maintain because they come to you. You don't ever have to take them from the trap down into their forever home. So if you have a hive and a trap, I highly encourage you to bait your hive like a swarm trap and put up your swarm trap. So now you've got basically 2 swarm traps deployed, and I have a 50-50 success rate trapping swarms, and that's what I tell everybody else. It's pretty common knowledge that that is the deal. If you've got bees in your area, you've got about a 50-50 chance at trapping bees. So if I have a bait hive or a hive that I've baited and I have a swarm trap up, I now have a 50-50 shot at trapping bees in one of those 2 containers. So I highly recommend that. If you have a hive that's empty, go ahead and bait it for swarm season and get ready. Another tool of the trade, I guess, is a ratchet strap. I use them a lot, especially with my swarm traps. So this swarm trap to my right, it has a removable lid, and I ratchet strapped the lid to the actual trap so that it's nice and tight and the lid can't come off. So the ratchet strap that I used on this swarm trap has a really long tail. It's probably 7 or 8 feet long. That comes in really handy when I go to pull the swarm trap up here. I can use that tail to get it up here, and then once I've got the trap where I want it in place, I can use that tail to wrap around the tree, wrap around a branch, help secure it in place so that if we have a wind event, it's not going to blow my trap out of the tree. So use a ratchet strap with a pretty long tail on it, meaning it's got extra webbing that goes through the ratchet strap, and you've got a tail to work with when it comes to the ratchet strap. Alright, so I commonly tell people, hey, do not risk your life, like I do sometimes, to put a swarm trap up. The swarm trap to my right is probably 7 or 8 feet off the ground. I've trapped plenty of bees at that height, but I've also trapped bees all the way down to 3 feet with a swarm trap sitting on a table. Up to 15 feet, the higher you go, the more preferable it is to the incoming swarm, but it's not a deal breaker. So do not risk your life. Do not climb up into a tree like I did today using an old pallet and risk your life to put a swarm trap up. I promise you, it's not worth trapping that swarm up here. I could totally have put it right there on top of that hive and possibly trapped a swarm at that height. All right, and remember, sting that like button, subscribe to our channel for future content and videos that we're going to be having coming out about all kinds of different things, natural and sustainable beekeeping. Also, be sure to go to our website, beekept.com, and sign up for our free email list. We also have a bunch of other resources on there, so go check it out, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.